Hello, Namaskar, Vanakkam. My name is Sudhir Sahasranaman and you're watching Careers with Sudhir. The CBSE 2026 marking crisis. It's indeed a crisis. And as a report today in the Hindustan Times points out, CBSE ignored call for wider trials in on-screen rollout. Written by Sanjay Moria, a very good story that highlights the kind of issues that arose in the run-up to the rollout of the OSM, the on-screen marking system, and why CBSE chose to go ahead with the OSM despite the apprehensions of the evaluators. That's what this story is about. That's what I'm going to highlight in this particular video. So what are we really talking about? How the CBSE batch of 2026 was essentially used as guinea pigs. That's what it seems like. You decided to test the batch of 2026 कि चलो OSM को test करते हैं. Let's get into the details of what really happened as per this story in the Hindustan Times. First point, what exactly went wrong? CBSE, according to this report, rushed the on-screen marking OSM system for class 12 examinations. Why are we saying that? Because no large-scale regional pilot projects were conducted, something which is essential because you are talking of over 17 lakh students, 98 lakh answer scripts. How can something like this be rolled out without any large-scale regional pilot projects being conducted? That is the big question. That's what you have, this kind of a chaos which is taking place in the country now. The warnings were ignored. What were the warnings like? The internal warning from the governing body members and trial teachers were completely ignored. As a result, you ended up with technical glitches. You ended up with evaluated distress because they were under a lot of pressure to finish the checking fast, even as they were struggling with the system. They were not used to the system. How do you do that? It's like you don't know driving and suddenly you are said, okay, gaadi nikalo, start karo, go from place A to place B, a distance of 10 kilometers. You have to reach there in 15 minutes also, but you don't even know the ABC of driving. How do you do that? This was something similar to that if this report of the Hindustan Times is to go by. It resulted in lower pass percentage and huge rise in the re-evaluation requests. We will come to that figure in a bit. Now, the red flags. What were the red flags as far as the rollout time was concerned? In June 2025, that is 11 months back, almost 12 months back, board members recommended regional pilot projects. Okay. CBSE only noted the recommendation. Okay, okay. You have said this, we have made a note of it. That's all. Nothing more than that. It is almost like, baad mein dekha jayega. Then, the trial started only in Jan 2026. Why were almost 6 to 7 months wasted and the trials not started? So a small 2-day trial with 100 teachers in 5 Delhi schools was done. Teachers advised, these 100 teachers also advised the CBSE that you should not do an immediate rollout due to lack of training and software limits. Because you see, many people, and especially if teachers are in that 45 plus age bracket, like I mean, no offense meant, I'm 50 plus, but I continuously train myself on whatever is the latest tech. But many people don't do that. So there will be a sense of reluctance. There will be a sense of fear when you have to deal with something related to technology, right? So that is what was the result. Then the rollout timeline was rushed. February 9, after Jan 26, 2026, February 9, official rollout was announced just days before the exam started. When did the exam start? Mid-February. February 13 to 15, inadequate last-minute webinars and practice portals were arranged, right? So you do some practice portals on previous year answer scripts and test yourself whether you are ready. Is that really the best way? Because around this time, the board exams are also started. Please remember, many of these teachers are also involved in preparing the students for the board examinations, their revision process, everything. So their mind space would be occupied with doing all that work also. On the 7th of March, full-scale digital evaluation officially began, right? So even as the first set of examinations, etc., kept getting over, that evaluation process also started. Then began what is being called the evaluators' nightmare, because many evaluators were using the software for the very first time while checking actual board papers, right? That's what this report in the Hindustan Times has highlighted. Strict deadlines encourage speed over careful evaluation. CBSE wanted to get done with the evaluation faster. You needed to get the checking done, fine, right? But would you kind of sacrifice evaluation quality over speed? I mean, would we prioritize speed over evaluation? That is what is the question that needs to be asked. The evaluators, the 77,000 evaluators, many of them have complained of screen fatigue. They have complained of administrative pressure, that long hours cause extreme eye strain. As it is, even while you are checking on paper, that itself is a lot of stress and strain, right? Because you have to be very mindful of the fact that you should not do anything which will harm the child. So you have to be very vigilant. But when you are doing it on the computer, you have to keep going up and down to ensure that you are able, especially if the answer has been given in 2 pages, you keep scrolling up and down to ensure that you don't miss out on any step for which the student may deserve a mark, right? Step marking for physics and mathematics, that's the subject, those are the subjects where the maximum number of complaints seem to have come in, was incredibly difficult on screen. They found it difficult to take care of the step marking. Then intense administrative pressure to declare results quickly, right? So you can't really blame the evaluators completely, because they had raised the red flag. Isko is saal mat karo. But the administrative body seem to have been in a rush ki chalo karte hain. Okay. Then it led to when the results were announced, it led to a student nightmare, because subsequently when they applied for the results, that itself is another story. We have covered that in many videos about how it was a nightmare. The link was not working in most of the cases. Some students received scanned copies belonging to other candidates. It happened in the case of Sanjana, it happened in the case of Vedant Srivastav, and many other students' cases have also been reported. It's almost like, the CBSE is doing a musical chairs with answer script, right? Wrong roll numbers were linked to incorrect answer sheets. That's what has led to this problem. Blurry scans and incorrect marks, that has also been reported in many social media platforms, that the answer scripts are blurred. So how did the evaluators even manage to read that on the screen? Many answer scripts are partially cut off or entirely unclear. Because of mix-up and unreadable scans, marks were wrongly recorded, right? Then the impact on results. 3.19 drop in pass percentage from 88% in 2025, dropping to 85% in 2026. As a result, over 4 lakh students out of the 17.6 lakh, 8 lakh students applied for scanned copies. This comes to what? Almost 1 in every 5 students. In fact, more than 1 in every 5 students, approximately 22%. This compared to last year is a 300% increase in the request for the scanned copies / reevaluation process, right? 300% increase over 2025. Now, what has been the CBSE's response and the defense? CBSE experimented with OSM in 2014. This was told by the school education secretary the other day, but scaled it back due to infrastructure issues. They admitted to login failures and server overloads this time, but claimed large-scale errors were rare. So said that, yeah, there were mistakes, but it's not like, there were lots of mistakes. But the point is that even if 1 or 5 or 10 students out of so many have been aggrieved, it is still a mistake. You cannot say that, कि हाँ थोड़े से लोगों का हो गया, नहीं चलता है. You need to ensure that it is an error proof, because 12th class, you are dealing with the future academic life of the student. You could have tried this in class 11. You could have tried this at class 10 stage, at least in the board examination. You could have allowed the teachers to do class 9 and 11 at the school stage itself by doing on-screen marking, by providing them with the software. Why didn't the CBSE do anything of that sort? That is what is being asked. the future. What will happen next year? 2027 में क्या होगा? What does the CBSE say? CBSE says OSM will continue in future board examination, right? So unless they do the rectification process in the next 12 months, it will still be anyone's guess which way it will go. The verification fee was reduced from 700 to 100. That is also what led to massive surge in requests, because अगर ये 700 और 500 पे ही रखते तो शायद इतने रिक्वेस्ट इंक्रीज 300% इंक्रीज नहीं होता, लेकिन चूंकि ये 100 रुपीस हो गया था, सो ऑब्वियसली मेनी स्टूडेंट्स आल्सो डिसाइडेड टू प्लेस द रिक्वेस्ट, बट द फैक्ट इज दैट ऑब्वियसली स्टूडेंट्स वर एग्रीव्ड. हो ये सकता था कि अगर 700 ही होता तो मेनी स्टूडेंट्स वुड हैव सेड कि अरे 700 रुपए कैसे खर्च करेंगे, हम इसी मार्क्स में खुश हो जाते हैं. एटलीस्ट दिस गेव द अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर स्टूडेंट्स टू रजिस्टर दैट दे वर नॉट हैप्पी विद दिस एंटायर OSM system. So I hope this gives you clarity on what really happened behind the scenes. Congratulations for such a good story which unearthed what exactly happened. Share and subscribe to Careers with Sudhir YouTube channel for career counseling videos and also for news with perspective. Thank you very much.